What is going on, guys? Joey here, and I just wanted to make another informative video. We got to do it in the car though while we're on the way to the gym, just because it's just been really hard for me to like sit down and have nothing going on, and in the car I have no choice but to drive, right? You guys get to hear me drink my pre-workout on the way to the gym. PR breaker code FLEXX10. It's been a long time since I plugged that, but I'm still with them. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about fatigue. For those of you that have been long time Joey Flex fans, you guys already have probably heard my earlier videos where I've done so many videos on fatigue and just feeling beat and all of those types of things, but as you guys know, I occasionally take on newer lifters, like new lifters, like within a year or two of starting their lifting journey. And it always comes around every now and then. You know, you run into the fatigue Grim Reaper. He shows up to collect his debts. And when he does, lifters freak out. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to feel. And I'm here to kind of help you guys through that. Let's give you guys an example, paint a picture, right? That's usually how we do these things. We'll have newer lifters, super excited about training. They go through their first month of training and they get to week 4. Sometimes if week 4 is, if the training block is like right at the minimum that they need in order to progress, they can get stronger leading into the week 4, then they hit the week 4, and then, we go from there. They feel good, no problems, and they're pretty confident. Other times you hit the week 4 and you're fatigued because the work that you did in the prior weeks has just been accumulating a little bit more than you're used to. That may be an indicator that your training split can be altered or reduced or changed in order to just pace it out a little bit better. So you get to the week 4 and you're fatigued. You're seeing everybody online going, oh, week 4, I'm strong week 4, whatever. And you think that you're supposed to be strong week 4. And then you start to lose faith in yourself. You start to lose faith in your program. And you start to freak out. Now, what I would tell a lifter at this point is there's no worries. You're fatigued. That's a good signal. That means we've done enough. Time to hit a deload. And then we'll get back building back up after that. You need to have those temporary periods where you feel a little bit down. You need to have those periods where you feel really good. But neither of them are forever, right? You're not going to feel fatigued forever, I promise. You're not going to feel amazing forever, I promise. It's just not how things work. The way the body works is it responds to stress. So you need to feel bad before you can feel better. Not bad necessarily, but you need to be challenged. You need to feel, if you have no emotional attachment to what you're doing in the gym, you may not feel you may not feel much, right? You just go in the gym, be like, oh, a little bit fatigued today, no worries. Have a good attitude about it, lower the weight, hit what you need to hit, and then kind of go from there. But if you go in the gym and every time it all comes back to expectations, right? If you expect to have a good day, to have a good week, if you put a lot of pressure on yourself to have this really big week 4 and you can't do it, or your deadlift day on week 4 needs to be like super amazing or whatever, and you don't hit that, then you're going to feel disappointed and you start like going through the mental cycle of doubt, fear, and all those things. Lucky for you, it's temporary, and a lot of the time your fatigue is planned. Sometimes fatigue is not planned. For example, you come off a deload, but you got a handle at a meet that the weekend after the deload, and all your variables are all messed up, right? A long time ago, I made a video saying this will guarantee help you make progress, and I was talking about the variables. Water, food, sleep, stress, steps per day, energy expenditure, all those things. sometimes shit happens, right? And you just can't perform the way that you want to perform. And how you react to the signals that your body gives you, I mean, honestly, that's everything. That's literally everything. Sometimes there needs to be no reaction. Sometimes you need to pivot. Sometimes, you know, you just need to make a small little tweak and everything can work out. And this is just something that you get with experience. But if I had to say to that young lifter that goes into the gym and that is like concerned with how things are moving, right? They don't feel strong. Their confidence is down. The main takeaway from this video is going to be that shitty feeling that you have is temporary. And it doesn't take long to get out of that period. And as long as your meat, as long as the fatigue is happening within proper proximity of your meat for you to deal with it, then you're going to be fine. It's actually like a necessary evil that you need to experience once in a while. Now, if I were to say when would be a good time for you to feel a little bit beat and run down, I would say 3 weeks out from a meet at the end of, so maybe like 14 days out, somewhere in there, like 19 to 14 days out, somewhere in there. If you're really feeling kind of beat, that's probably like the last minute, like that's where you kind of want it to be at. That's like the last chance to feel that fatigue before the meet. I wouldn't really want to experience that. I mean, 5 days out, you shouldn't feel fresh. You should definitely not feel like you're going to feel meet day. But it's like a different type of fatigue when you're doing those heavy training blocks. I mean, I know for me, going into big meet, I just remember completing, my heaviest and hardest weeks of training thinking, wow, I know damn well that I got stronger because I feel beat to shit, but I got through a lot and I've never done that much heavy work before, heavy volume work before, your 5x4s, your 5x3s, your 4x5s, things like that. And then I get to the end of the training, my training block pretty much. And now, when you're 2 weeks out, you're just trying to get rid of that fatigue and focus up on technique, sharpen up in terms of just making sure that things are moving the way that you want them to move. Technique-wise, standard-wise. My lifters that compete in Canada, I always say that the CPU is like really strict, right? Like I've seen, I don't know if they're still this strict, but back in the day, they used to be very, very strict. The bench pauses were crazy. Depth, like they just didn't play. Like if you're not hitting depth, if you're hitting parallel, you're getting reds, which is usually how it goes. Some referees give you leeway. But at those higher levels, especially when things are on the line, things have to be very, very clean. But yeah, again, the takeaway from the video, fatigue is okay. It's normal. You just have to know how to deal with it. It's not something that you should be panicking about. If you're getting fatigued too frequently, you definitely need to take a look at the program and see what's going on. See what's going on with your variables. One thing that lifters do all the time is like they feel fatigue and then they just start changing their form. You do not need to do that. Not always. Like if you did so much work to get to where you are now, I'm sure you've had some days in the past where you were proud of your lifting. You were happy with the numbers that you put up. You don't need to change that, at the first sign of fatigue. Not at all. It's not something that needs to always be done. And you can actually create more setbacks by not having faith in the technique that got you to where you are. And in addition, maybe, if you were training during the lockdown times and you didn't have anything to worry about but training, your variables are going to be very different than you being a full-time student with a job and a girlfriend, and like maybe you have like a family you need to help out too on the weekends. Like, you see what I'm saying? The stress on this person, this version of you, is going to be astronomically different than that person of you from 2020. In addition, a lot of lifters make the mistake of comparing. They'll compare the lift, but they don't think about the life circumstances at the time that they were able to perform that lift in such a way. And I think that's one way to definitely like drive yourself insane, because it's just not fair to yourself. You're just comparing yourself to a version of yourself that was able to give more to lifting. And that's another thing which I could talk about in another video, about how some lifters are just going to be able to give more to lifting than others. And there's not really, and it just kind of is what it is. So comparing can be a dangerous thing. I do believe, and I think it is useful to learn to harness those emotions and harness your skills in terms of observing yourself and how you're doing. It's very powerful if you can be in control of shit. I used to know lifters that would delete social media because they would look at their competitors and it would fuck with their heads. Excuse my profanity, but you guys get what I'm saying. It would really mess with their mind to the point where it would be a huge detriment to their ability to function. And they had to get off social media. They just literally deleted the app. And that's okay. You got to know what works for you. You got to know what you need in order to handle business. And I mean, I think you can learn to overcome that, and you can be better at these things. And typically that only happens when we're younger and we're more emotional. But as time goes on, you just get more experienced, and you handle business, and you don't let anything really bother you, and everything can be a tool, and you could end up using things more so in a way that's going to benefit you, as opposed to something that's going to work against you. So that being said, I could go on forever. Fatigue is probably one of the most, fatigue and fatigue management is definitely one of the most explored. I'm a fatigue expert, I guess you could say, right? It's something that I know a lot about. It's something that I learned that if I can master this, I can not only help help others, but help myself. In the early days of my lifting, and in our workshops, we definitely talk about fatigue and how you got to know when is fatigue appropriate, right? If fatigue is popping up in places that it shouldn't, both intra-week and intra-block, right? Even in intra-day, right? In the middle of your training day. If it's happening in places that you don't want to see it, then you got to make some adjustments. And I think if you can master when and how you dose training stress, I mean, that's literally everything, right? That's literally going to be everything. So I hope you guys are able to take something away from this video. I apologize for the car video. I hope you guys don't mind. But yeah, I'm obviously feeling much better from before. I was super sick and my voice was destroyed. If you made it this far, we got to make it spicy, right? If you made it this far, let me get a hashtag made it this far in the comments down below. Tell me your favorite pre-workout. Is it Celsius? Is it Monster? Is it Pierre Breaker? Is it 110? Is it BPN? What is it? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.